All right. So I'm sure, as everybody knows, something happened over the weekend. That's caught a lot of people by surprise,
Got people
including
talking.
us. You guys have probably seen it on the interwebs already. You've probably seen videos on it, but you knew we were going to give our thoughts on this channel about what's going on with Sleep Token and the new masks.
Sleep Token. I'm excited. Mushroom Head's back, dude. I'm stoked, man.
As you guys can tell by the image behind us, the band members of Sleep Token, I guess I should say, brand new masks, seemingly out of nowhere. No warning that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
No preemptive post or anything saying that this was in the works. They kept it under wraps like they do most things and sprung it on us for the Wembley show. So
I know a lot of people are gonna be like, well, the look doesn't matter, and it's all about the music. It's still about the music. Yeah, that is true. I'm gonna be completely honest, Brady. I am not a fan of this new look. I got into this band right around the time they were releasing Sundowning, that whole cycle. The first song I heard was Higher. Like, I just released Higher, and that's when I started getting into Sleep Token. I didn't even know this was a masked band at all. And when I dove in and I looked and found out that they were a masked band, I thought it was really cool how they had their masks. Like, it wasn't like, look at me, I'm, attention. It was very ritualistic. It was simple, and it didn't take away from the music like a lot of other gimmicky mask bands can fall into. Fast forward 4 years later, now we're at this point. I think it kind of falls into that shuffle where you turn into Gwar, Mushroom, those types of theatrical, this is what we're doing now. Like, we're here, this is our personality. It's great. They've earned the right to dress and express themselves with however they feel like they want to, and they've earned that especially after this year, man. Holy shit.
They essentially they took over. They essentially took over this show.
And it just to me, it puts them in that box, that box of masked bands that have crazy looks that not only looks weird, it just doesn't fit the music for what they have. I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine because there's videos now from Wembley of them playing, but I don't know, like them playing the lighter stuff like Atlantic and in the getup, and Three's getup is crazy in itself with the red hair. 2 looks like Goro from Mortal Kombat. And
it does now that you're saying that.
It's just the ponytail thing. And 4's is probably the most true to form, like the most evolved, that kind of stayed OG. But again, like I said, it's just, to me, it just brings attention to the look, the aesthetic look versus the music. I don't know. It's just I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point. I mean, I think they've earned the right, like you said, to kind of express themselves and change things up. And it's always good to see a band making money and having success. Kudos to them. I mean, we said it, we've talked about it all year. I'm sure some of you guys are out there probably sick and tired of hearing Sleep Token, but
it's crazy.
They won the year.
It's crazy that this is news. Like, everywhere. This whole thing that we're talking about right now, everybody's talking about it.
Would we have talked about this last year? We probably
year,
would have
or
talked about it. Yes,
we would have talked about it, but people would just kind of scroll by. They wouldn't even acknowledge it. But now, since the impact of what Sleep Token has done this year, just by lighting the world on fire, essentially.
Right. You and I have had time to discuss this. Obviously, they dropped this on Saturday of this last weekend.
The Wembley
at the time
date, yeah.
Right. Yep. And at the time of this recording, it's Tuesday. It's a Tuesday before Christmas. So we've had some time to kind of digest it, take it in, kind of let it sit for a while. And now looking at this picture again, there's so many jokes and so many memes like, oh, it's Slip Token or it's Sleepknot. Or I can see why people are saying that. First and foremost, now that I have time to look at it, when you look at 2's mask and you really zoom in and you look at the bottom, it has the Mick Thompson mouthpiece thing.
4, I think it's 4 you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies. 4.
He's got the Mick Thompson going on.
Yeah, he's got the Mick Thompson thing going on. 2 actually looks like the dreads actually kind of look like Corey Taylor's first mask from Slipknot.
A little bit of that. I'm also getting
with the dreads.
I don't know if you've heard of a band called Lordi. That I forget where they're from. They're from I forget what country they're from. They're not from the States or anything. They're I think they're Swedish. They're like monster rock, and the drummer, I guess one of his iterations had like the high ponytail, but his mask was like more monstrous looking. Like this is kind of like, I don't know. I kind of see a little bit of resemblance to that for Two's
Now,
mask.
obviously they've kept the Sleep Token logo still present, so
Rune, yeah.
it didn't change that aspect of it, which is great. It's funny, when Joey sent me this picture on Saturday when we were discussing it for the first time, I was like, oh, that's just, their get-ups have to be for the picture, and not just the mask, but like outfits now too. And it's just like, oh, they just probably took that for a picture. Like they're backstage, there's no way they're wearing it on
It's
stage.
an old Halloween costume they just wanted to put on.
This isn't a knock on a band being successful, because I feel like bands should have the room and the creativity, and they've definitely earned it to change things up, and that's not the problem here. But I think what we're trying to say is it takes away from the mystique that is Sleep Token, because like, what's next for these guys? There's already a video out there of two talking and discussing and doing an interview, which is the first interview by any Sleep Token member.
The first video,
right?
the first video recorded interview by any Sleep Token member.
Nothing wrong with it in the music industry. There's nothing wrong with that, but kind of raises the question: like, if you are a masked band that wants to keep your identity totally secret and wants everything to be about music, does that gimmick really work anymore, because of how successful they can get and because of the access to every single personal information out there ever? Essentially what it poses the question, and Joe and I were talking about this before we started recording, was these bands that want to make like a marketing tool just about not having their identity and having it being all about the music and having this mystery behind everything. Like, is that a thing that works anymore in new music, in the new music industry? Because a lot of it sounds great on paper, but when you really sit down and break it down, and just how much information is available to everybody and how quickly a band like Sleep Token can blow up, like that, it changes a lot of things, and you might find yourself kind of getting away from your original idea. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I read an old interview that Vessel did like back in like 2017. It's pretty. If you look it up, there's only like one. So like the only interview that Vessel has ever done, I think, and it was like from years ago. And I think I remember it saying, or the quote was, "Our identities are unimportant. It's about the message, the music." It feels like there's a lot of pressure to keep whatever's going on now versus back then.
Right.
Because now it's this whole phenomenon of it's just they've gathered so much popularity that it's going to be hard to maintain what they originally started the band as. I don't think they'll be able to continue what they were doing when they started. I think it's going to be this like, especially with this new direction, it looks like they're going to be possibly writing a new metal album, which would be interesting.
I think there's a lot of new metal influence in the masks, obviously.
Yeah, and I like new metal. I just don't know. I mean, if they write songs like Gods, that's probably the most, I mean, it kind of a little bit new metal-y. They write songs like that and like a heavier tone. Maybe they're just gonna become like a horror band, which that'd be sick too. According
to all accounts, Vessel's outfit and everything is remaining the same. He obviously got the new mask.
Yeah, his new mask
recently.
His new mask was so cool though. It didn't stray from the original mask. It just added blood on the sides, and then it got a gloss.
Yeah. I think they opened the mouth a little bit more too.
I will say, I'll take this over them just taking their masks off, because that would be
right.
I think I would have been more mad about that if they just like, all right, we're gonna go on stage and not have our whole thing.
I think for me, what I really liked about the original getup is I love the black cloak look. I love that look when Ghost had it. I love the look when Sleep Token had it. When I saw this picture, I'm like, this is a backstage picture. Like, there's no way they're going on stage in like a Jeff Hardy jumpsuit and fucking punk rock like jacket with a bunch of patches sewn to it, and it's now their stage gear. So for me, like, that kind of like, that's probably the biggest thing I'm not a fan of. The masks are creative. This is what happens when a band makes money. That's what it comes down to. This is what happens when a band makes money. When we saw them on stage, dude, it was you could barely see them, and I thought that aspect was so cool. Like, I was just like, there's live musicians here, but you can't see them.
Granted,
So-
yeah, these new looks, definitely gives them more personality, which, I mean, if you love it, that's great. I personally thought they had enough personality on stage, even with the same masks, like 3 doing the kicks and like spinning around moves, and then 4 just kind of grooving and doing the screams, and then 2, you just get his whole personality up behind the kit when he's doing solos, and
Right.
he's just a fucking monster. That's why I'm kind of like, all right, so if they believe they didn't have personality before, if somebody believed they didn't have personality, I don't know if they were looking in the right place, because clearly you could tell each one of them, and they kept the simplistic look. We got to see where they go with this, because
Right.
I would assume there's going to be like a new EP next year, because that seems to be the trend. Let's look at Spirit Box. Spirit Box is another band that's blowing up. They released an EP this year, and they're going to probably release a new album next year. So I think Sleep Token is going to be one of those bands that's going to strike the iron hot, and we'll probably get new music from Sleep Token next year, is my prediction, based on these new masks.
I think the biggest thing is to, like you said, wait and see what happens, and wait and see what they do with this new mask, if there's going to be some sort of new lore. Maybe there's new stories that come into play with the background that is Sleep Token. And Vessel did say, I must be something new at the end of Euclid, and I'm just, when you and I talked about it, we thought it was like, is this the end of Sleep Token? But maybe it's the end of Sleep Token as we knew it, and maybe this is that something new. Maybe this is just, you know what?
Yeah, yeah.
We want to take it somewhere else. We don't want to hide as much anymore. We want to be our creative selves, and if it's that aspect, I'm cool with that. I like when bands can find some self-creativity. There's some things I don't like about it right now, but that could change.
I love this band so much, as many people do.
Guys, it's a polarizing conversation, so those are our thoughts. What are yours? Be sure to leave them down below. Please be as honest as you want to be. Honestly, it's so two-sided that I don't think there's a wrong or right answer here. You guys either like them or you don't like them, and we'd love to hear both reasons. So
Not sure how I feel about this new mask design, but maybe it'll grow on me. I am intrigued to see where they take this. Maybe they go a heavier route. Maybe they go in the same route that they were going before. What do you guys think? Let us know. Thank you for watching our video, and we will see you in the next one.